Hi gardening friends, this is Alexis. Welcome to my channel. In this video I'd like to share the renovation plans that I've created for the backyard. This is a schematic that I created to help guide me through the process. So let's start our tour at the east side gate. Enjoy! So one of my goals this year is to complete the replacement of this 4-foot chain link fence, including this gate. And as I turn around, you will see that this fence goes along the entire east side of the property. And in the back, you can see I've replaced the fence across the back of the yard. So now I need to replace the fence that goes along this full fence line. I've temporarily attached these reed fencing. Partially I have to continue a little ways down just for privacy for myself and for my neighbors. So that's my first goal of this year, is to finish replacing the fence. So this bed along the side of the house, a lot of noise. This bed on the side of the house you've seen a number of times in videos. I don't think there'll be a lot of change here, just mostly cleaning up, continuing to clean up the bed, and then also maybe popping in a few annuals. But primarily this bed will remain as is. This side of the walkway, this bed is in transition. It at one time was filled with large hedges and bushes and a small tree, and I've removed those over the past 3 or 4 years. And I covered this area, had all the weeds removed, and then I put down landscape fabric and covered with mulch just to keep the weeds at bay until I made a decision on what I was going to do with this space. Last summer I did start to plant up a few plants. This was also used as kind of a dumping bed, so if I got any plants from a clearance sale, didn't know what to do with them, I would pop them here. I think that's a winterberry. There's a back and black sedum that's starting to pop up. There's that's the blonde ambition gamma grass. So I did start to plant up some plants here, in addition to just trying to get some of the clearance plants in the bed. You'll see there is still some landscape fabric. So last summer I began to remove all of the landscape fabric underneath as I started planting out the area. But there's still just a little bit of landscape fabric left in this area, because I really haven't planted this up very much, that I'll remove this year. And you can see that they're still planting here. And as you come through this space, this used to look very different. There were a lot of hedges. There was a green hedge right about here, very tall, and was kind of the opening to the backyard space. There was also a very large tree right here that I've had removed about 3 years ago, and there was a second one right there. I can point, and you can still partially see that tree. So the focus for this year along this property line will be to replace the fence to shield, to provide additional privacy. As you can tell, I'm right near a busy street and also near some commercial properties, so the fencing is really helpful. The other thing that I will be doing, and I started to do last year, is in front of the fence I will have a row of arborvitaes, and these are the American Pillar arborvitae, fast Full Speed Ahead, I think it's called, and they only get about 4 feet wide. So I've already started the row of those, and I envision there's probably going to be maybe 10 to 15 of those down most of this property line to provide that additional buffer of noise. And as you go around to the rest of the property, this last fall I had 3 large trees removed. One was right in this corner here, and then there were 2 right here in the middle of the property. So very large trees. So very quickly the backyard went from a part sun, part shade to a full sun backyard. So the goal for this year would be to finish creating this bed, and you can see I've started drawing some bed lines here, but finish this bed in this area. And then in the very rear of the property, my goal is to create a hedge of evergreen trees. So 2 years ago I started planting additional trees. This azalea was here on the property. It's probably been here for at least 30 years. And then the only remaining tree of the original trees is this tree right here. There's a little apple tree. There at one time were about 9 trees so that were in this backyard. So there were the one large tree right here. You can still see a little bit of the partial tree that was here. There was a large tree there, 2 trees in the middle, and then there were several trees across the property line. So there were 9 trees in this backyard at one point, and then over the years they've died, they've fallen during storms, and so what I started to do was try to replace them. So I added, in the back you'll see the Japanese cedar, that's a Hollywood juniper, that's a weeping Alaskan cedar, and then right here I just added this Royal Raindrops crab apple. So the idea is to, in addition to the large fence that's here, to plant a hedge of trees for additional buffer. So you'll have, hopefully, I'll have the arborvitaes that will go down this property line here, and then across the back will be the trees that you see. The last tree that's remaining is this apple tree, which is very old and needs to be trimmed back. There's a broken hedge or a broken branch that I need to have removed. So I've been trying to figure out what I wanted to do from a design standpoint. So for this year, I just want to tidy up the back. So the very rear back of the property, I'm just going to cover with mulch just to tidy it up a bit and make it look neater. And then here in the middle, I'm going to create some type of a flower bed, a cutting bed in the middle. I also envision at some point having some type of garden shed in the area as well. So continue to build out this bed that's along the side here, that's in progress. Put mulch along the back. And then we have the deck garden, which you've seen before, so continue to grow that out quite a bit. And then on this kind of west, I guess this is like a northwest facing side of the property, continue to grow out and build out this part of the bed, and it will ultimately come around into the mulch area in the back. And that's really what I want to accomplish for this year in terms of the bed. You can see I've started creating the bed lines, firming those up for the year. As some of you may know, I do also grow vegetables, and most of those are grown on the deck in pots. So I have 4 whiskey barrels, and then a collection of pots and grow bags in which I grow all of my vegetables. So for this year, I am going to add hopefully additional bags and expand the number of vegetables that I'll be growing. And I want to find a space in the backyard. Space is not a problem, it's more location, but a location in the backyard that would make sense. And I'm really thinking right in this space here is where I'll have all of the grow bags, but we will see. Another little project, it's not one of my major goals, but it is a little project that I have. Another area that I really don't show on camera too, I don't think I've ever shown it on camera, is the side gate on the other side of the property. I want to create or embed these pieces of flagstone. So these were already on the property. I think there used to be a patio, so where this deck used to be, or currently is, I think there was once a patio. So my vision is to create a little bit of a walkway here, define the beds on either side. I have hostas over here, and really define that and create a little bit of an entryway. Even though I'm pretty much, there's not much traffic, this gate doesn't get used all that often, but I thought that could be a good use for the flagstone. Well, we started the tour here, and we're going to end the tour right here at the West Side Gate. Happy gardening. Thanks for watching.